Welcome everybody, this is my analysis of the film of the year 2011 of the depiction of the rise of the Planet of the Apes. This will contain spoilers, so if you haven't already, you may wish to watch that first and then come back to this video afterwards and let me know what you think then. Now, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, from here on out I'm going to be just referring to as Rise, is a film telling the story of a chimpanzee born in a science laboratory with advanced cognitive functions, who eventually becomes the leader of the ape army. Now, in my research for Rise, I came across a few articles that talked about it as an animal rights film. This was quite interesting to me because of all the things I thought of when watching it. Animal rights did not once cross my mind. Now, I can see why it might appear to be an animal rights film, but the more I think about it, the more I don't believe that's what they were intending, at least not as its main focus. And if it was, then there's at least a few areas where it fails that. For example, Will Rodman still testing on animals even after it was found Bright Eye's aggression was due to her protecting her child. After it was found that the ALZ-112 passed down to Caesar caused improved cognition, and he was only reluctant to move to human trials when his father died. And with a few exceptions, he's pretty much a dick to apes throughout. Now, the original book by Pierre Boulle dealt with race relations among other human issues in its own metaphorical way, and I think it's fair to say that there are more than a few references to the slave trade in Rise. Now, to be clear, I don't believe they were trying to insinuate that black people are apes, or at least I hope that's not what we're trying to say, because if it was, then seriously, what the hell, man? I think what they were trying to do was use a pre-established fictional universe to tell a story about the revolution, in particular what it takes to realize a revolution by using apes to represent the underprivileged classes. Caesar grew up with humans and had little experience with other apes. Now, although the way he was treated by Will Rodman, which by the way is probably some kind of reference to Roddy McDowell, but anyway, although the way he was treated by Rodman wasn't draconian, Caesar knew something was wrong. So when he is sent to the animal shelter, at first he wants to get out and is disappointed when he's not taken home after Rodman and Caroline visit him. But after realizing the extent of how brutal the apes are treated, he realizes that he has a choice to either go back to relative luxury or stay and try to help somehow. Now, Caesar, the outsider and unfamiliar with feral ape behavior, first has to overcome the differences to not just be accepted but also respected, and does this by first showing Rocket that he can get to him, and then creating unity by having Rocket hand out the cookies to the other apes. And then when Maurice points out the lack of intelligence that apes have, he then sees the need for apes to become educated and steals the ALZ-113 canisters from Rodman. Caesar embodies the core qualities of a leader, someone who is accepted and respected by the group they're leading, is intelligent and willing to bring others up rather than keeping them down. We see his compassion by not allowing the apes to beat on Rodman, but we also see his resolve by not hesitating to put down Dodge. In the end, I think the overall message of the film is that if we as the underprivileged or oppressed group believe a change needs to happen, then it falls on us to take that responsibility into our own hands. But when doing so, understand that it is not an easy task and that we may have to make sacrifices of our own luxuries or our own privileges along the way. So that's what I think the film is trying to do. But before I end this, there are a few other things I'd like to mention. Now, why was Caroline so pissed at Rodman? Now, considering she is a vet, I can understand her being upset he works in an animal testing facility, assuming that's the point she found out, even though they've been together for 5 years. You'd think it would come up at least once. But during her "this is so wrong" speech, that fact was never brought up as a contention point, which for me seemed to be the biggest missed opportunity to say something about animal rights. That being said, she worked in the zoo, so might have been a little hypocritical. During a scene where the helicopter appears over the bridge, now in this image, the gunman is clearly aiming at Caesar. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find any calculation to convert 3D and 2D angles to prove it. So I'm going to just ask you to trust your eyes on this. Now, if we look at this ape here, who is nowhere nearby, after the shots are fired, he falls over like he's trying to get a penalty kick. Stupid monkey. My other theory on Rise is that it represents how a zombie apocalypse could actually happen in real life. we see how a man-made virus can make its way into the general public and is spread exponentially. I think the only difference would be rather than looking for a cure for a disease, we'd probably be looking for a new kind of biological weapon that causes severe brain and memory degradation. There'll be maybe a few people who manage to escape the virus, but for the most part, the human population would be zombies wandering aimlessly around. I do think that's something that can happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but I think it is a real possibility. So that's what I think of Rise. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If you liked this video, click the like button. If you really liked it, please share. Check out the other videos on the channel as well. If you haven't already, subscribe for more. Also, if you'd like to keep up with myself, other things I do, and thoughts that circulate my cranium, then find me on Twitter and or Facebook. And until next time, damn you all to hell.